Hey, so today I was onboarding a new media buyer and I wanted to talk to you about something that I think is super important if you are working on any performance marketing or any e-commerce brand or marketing in general is attribution. Attribution is simply just the tracking of where and the credit you give to a specific channel. And so with something called Triple Whale, you're able to actually attribute sales to specific channels. So that way, if you say looked in Shopify and you saw you had $100,000 of revenue, typically when you look at each channel, you're going to see, like if you looked on Facebook, Google, Pinterest, and kind of across different channels, you're going to see that there's probably like 300,000 of revenue. And that's just because people are taking credit for their individual channels. Now, with Triple Whale, you can deduplicate that, meaning you can just have 100,000 of revenue across these different channels. And that way you can make sure that, hey, you're not over reporting revenue channels. Then you can say, okay, where should we be allocating these marketing dollars based on how channels are actually doing? That's where Triple Whale comes in. I'm going to put a link down below so you can check them out. But I was onboarding this new media buyer and I was kind of walking her through how we use Triple Whale, how we look at Google Analytics performance, how we look at Meta Ads performance. And I do believe that there's some like triangulation on these three on how you can become a better e-commerce marketer, media buyer, whatever your role is, by looking at Meta Ads properly. Now, this may be a hot topic because a lot of people look at this stuff differently. Um, I've personally spent over 500 million on paid social, so I'm looking at it from a lens of I've been in accounts where we're spending 1 to 2 million a month, as well as been in accounts where we're spending 2,000 a month. So I'm not saying this is the one size fits all for everybody, but I think if you're in an account that is spending more than um, 20 grand a month, you should be looking at something like a Triple Whale to help you understand what channels are working well and truly what your cost per new customer is. Otherwise, there's a lot of manual work that will go into that. Their basic plans start around 150 anyway, so it's not like you're breaking the bank to do this instead of manually pulling numbers every day. Now, why you want to use a tool like Triple Whale is because typically in meta ads, you're going to see a little number two on the anything that is after the click. Meaning when somebody clicks out, those are statistically modeled numbers. So that's Meta giving their best guess based on estimated action rates and other things to say this is what someone's likely going to do and they likely purchased. But what I've found is sometimes you'll see an account that has 18 purchases in it on Meta, but when you look in Triple Whale, you see one purchase. And that's because Meta is assuming that, hey, we're sending people to your site, these people have seen the site, and the chances that they're buying are 18, 18 times. And a lot of times those numbers are false. And I've seen people scale accounts with these numbers, not realizing that these numbers are actually leading them in the wrong direction. And that's what I was talking to this media buyer about that I'm onboarding is, hey, we need to look at these things all together, right? We need to look in platform at what's working, where spend should be going. We need to look at Google Analytics, understanding traffic and conversion and post-click actions based on different campaigns and ad sets. And then we got to look at Triple Whale. And in Triple Whale, we're looking at, I usually look at total impact attribution, which is basically somebody using a post-click survey that says, hey, here's where I heard about the brand, and then also looking at in-platform numbers. So Triple Whale will kind of deduplicate those and say, hey, Joe came from Meta and bought, but he said he heard from TikTok. So we're actually going to give TikTok the credit. So that's a helpful way to be able to understand where are people actually coming from and where are they actually buying from. And I found total impact to be the closest thing to Shopify revenue. When you look at it, it deduplicates a lot of that extra revenue, gives channels the credit that they deserve. And if you are working on a team and you are not using any sort of attribution tool or methodology or deciding on how to do that, chances are you're probably over attributing revenue to one channel or another. But I'd love to know your take. Do you have a specific preference on how you look at attribution? Can you share with me, if you have a different way of looking at it? I'd love to learn. Always looking to get feedback on how I'm looking at things. I just talked to some of the team over at True Class telling me about how they look at things in Triple Whale specifically around using Facebook views and Triple Whale attribution, which is almost like in platform it's very similar to in-platform numbers on Meta, but they also look at Facebook views. So even if somebody just viewed an ad and went and bought, they include that as well. And I think that's because a lot of brands are using Meta for top of funnel, so they're willing to include that. But I'm curious to know, how do you look at attribution? What are your tips and tricks? And do you use Triple Whale? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for letting me wrap up my day with you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.